The Vraxian fleet emerged from hyperspace with practiced precision, their obsidian ships forming a perfect attack pattern against the blue marble hanging in the void. Admiral Krell stood on the command deck, mandibles clicking with anticipation. Intelligence had identified this planet as an optimal colony world. Rich resources, ideal atmospheric composition, and only primitive inhabitants. Preliminary scans confirm minimal defensive capabilities, Lieutenant Mox reported. The species calls themselves humans. Technology level, industrial digital transition. Military threat assessment, negligible. Krell's compound eyes narrowed. Begin the standard intimidation protocol. 3 orbital strikes on unpopulated areas, then broadcast terms of surrender. The Vraxians had conquered 17 worlds using this exact strategy. Show overwhelming force, minimize resistance, preserve infrastructure. Efficient, practical. Their scientific minds had calculated every variable, except one. In a Pentagon conference room, General Taylor stared at satellite feeds showing the alien vessels. 23 ships, largest approximately 2 kilometers in length. They had appeared without warning, bypassing all early detection systems. "Mr. President," she said into the secure line, "we're tracking multiple energy buildups. They appear to be targeting remote areas, the Sahara, Siberia, and the Pacific." The President's voice was calm but resolute. "Implement Defense Protocol Omega. Immediately." Taylor nodded to her staff. "You heard him. It's time to show our visitors what they're really dealing with." The Vraxian strikes hit with devastating force. 3 perfect circles of destruction, each 50 kilometers wide, scarred the Earth. 1 in the empty desert, 1 in uninhabited tundra, 1 in open ocean. The message was clear: surrender or face extinction. "Broadcast the terms," Krell ordered. Standard translation matrix. The message went out worldwide, appearing on every screen in every language. "Surrender your world or face extinction. You have 1 planetary rotation to comply." Admiral Krell waited, confident. These humans would react like all the others, with fear, confusion, internal squabbling, and ultimately, surrender. The Vraxian Empire would have its 18th colony. The human response came exactly 45 minutes later, not in words but in fire. Across the globe, concealed silos opened. Submarine hatches unlocked. Mountain bunkers activated. A century of preparing for war with each other had left humanity with something the Vraxians had never encountered. A species that had spent generations planning for doomsday. The first wave was conventional, hypersonic missiles that the Vraxian sensors barely detected before impact. 3 smaller ships shuddered and broke apart. The rest activated energy shields, but the assault had only begun. "Impossible!" Lieutenant Mox shouted. "They shouldn't have this capability." Krell stared in disbelief as his tactical display showed thousands of projectiles rising from the planet's surface. Not just from military bases, but from submarines hidden beneath oceans, from mobile launchers in forests, from disguised facilities on remote islands. "They're everywhere," he whispered. In orbit, the Vraxian fleet scrambled to counter the unexpected assault. Their shields were designed for advanced energy weapons, not the crude kinetic barrage they now faced. Physics couldn't be negotiated with. Mass times velocity equaled impact force, and thousands of missiles were overwhelming their defenses through sheer numbers. On the ground, humanity's response continued to unfold. Not in panic, but with practiced coordination. Decades of Cold War planning, years of international defense treaties, centuries of warfare experience, all culminating in this moment. "Second wave ready," reported General Taylor. "Orbital defense platforms activated." The President nodded. "Proceed." Disguised satellites that had been placed in orbit under the cover of weather monitoring and telecommunications revealed their true purpose: kinetic energy weapons, laser arrays, and electromagnetic pulse generators, all aimed at the alien fleet. Aboard the Vraxian command ship, chaos reigned. 7 vessels had been destroyed. 5 more were crippled, tumbling through space. "How?" Krell demanded. How could a pre-spacefaring civilization hide such weapons? The answer came as they intercepted human communications. Not pleas for mercy, but coordinated battle plans. Not panic, but determined resistance. Images from human history flashed across their screens. World wars, Cold Wars, regional conflicts, centuries of developing increasingly sophisticated ways to destroy each other. Lieutenant Mox's voice trembled. Admiral, we made a critical error. These humans haven't been building toward peace like other species. They've been preparing for war, against themselves, for their entire recorded history. Krell finally understood their miscalculation. Vraxians had evolved through cooperation. Their conflicts were ritualized, controlled. But these humans? They had evolved through constant competition and conflict. War wasn't an aberration for them. It was their expertise. Full retreat, Krell ordered. Send warning buoys to the Empire. This planet is not to be approached. As the remaining Vraxian ships limped away, General Taylor watched from the command center. She allowed herself a small smile. Should we pursue? Asked her lieutenant. No, she replied. Let them go. Let them tell others what happens when you attack Earth. Across the globe, humanity emerged from their shelters, looking skyward. For the first time in history, all nations had fought as one, not against each other, but against an external threat. Old enemies had coordinated defenses. Ancient rivals had shared intelligence. In facing extinction, humanity had found unity. The President addressed the world that evening. Today we learned we are not alone in the universe, but more importantly, the universe learned something about us. We are humanity. We come from Earth, and we will not surrender. In the vastness of space, the retreating Vraxian ships broadcast an urgent warning to all corners of the galaxy. Avoid third planet of Sol system. Inhabitants dangerous. Planet designation, Earth. Threat level, maximum. They had attacked Earth. Unexpectedly, yet ignored one vital fact. Humans had been preparing for the apocalypse their entire existence. And in doing so, they had become the most formidable species the Vraxians had ever encountered.